So hey, what's up people, how are you? This is gonna be a pretty interesting video because we are gonna make a to-do list app. Yep, a to-do list app from scratch. So what this app will do is it will take an input from user, and as soon as a user presses the input button, the task which user has entered is gonna be inserted in the list. So if a user has completed the task, he can remove the task just by swiping it off. Yeah, that's what we are gonna implement. And now let's directly jump to the coding part, and I have already made the project for saving the time, and we are going to begin with coding. So the first thing we want to do is not over here, it's import a material.dart library. Perfect. Okay, so it might be showing some error right now, but it will work for sure. So let's write the code, and now we're going to make a main method, and this main method is going to invoke a run app function, and this run app function take input of a widget that named app. Perfect. So let's define our app widget. I'm going to make a stateless class. So you can see that I have just written stles, and this snippet will give me the rest of the code for making a stateless class. All I have to do is just select this option in this option box. So when I select, I get almost 4 lines of code without any issue. So it's kind of handy sometimes, and it helps me a lot. It saves a lot of time. So let's make a widget app. And now what we can do is make a material app over here. Perfect. And this material app can have a title. Let's give this title as to-do. Ta-da. And let us define a home property, and let's give this home property as to-do screen. Perfect. And now let's define a to-do screen function or the class. So I'm going to make a stateful class. Again, I'm going to use the snippets. I'll get the both of the classes for a stateful widget without any issue, and you can see that I'll be able to type at 5 different places simultaneously. So it is also handy sometimes, and it saves a lot of time. So let's give the name as to do screen. Perfect. And let's now give a scaffold to the return, not like that, over here, the scaffold. And this scaffold has a property. Why I am getting error over here? Okay, so it's misbehaving. So let's give a property of title. Does the scaffold has a title property? No, it has an app bar. So let's give an app bar, and let's give an app bar widget to this app bar property. So now what we can do is give a title to the app bar, and this title will be given as text. So let's give the text as to space or hyphen do. So now what we can do is run our app once. So I'm going to run my app and also write the code ahead. And this body we have to think of how to make. So let's first wait for our Flutter run to run.
Okay, so I have made a terrible error over here again while typing. So I have to change all the names, the classes which I have defined. Over here also. Nope. And let's make it B. Now it should work, I guess. We are still getting an error over here for no reason at all. Let me just close the VS Code and start it once again. So yeah, I guess now we won't get the error. Yeah, perfect. So now let's enter this to-do folder and let's run our app. I'm going to do a Flutter run. Oh, it won't work because we have given a body with. We have to delete this body from here, and now I'm going to give a Flutter run. Yeah, now it should work. So till it runs, let's make the body of our app, and let's give the body as a container. But we need to think of how to make the body of the app because we will be having a list view and a text input. So how to align that.
Okay, so this is why it was showing error, because we didn't have semicolon over here. Let's put a semicolon, and now let's again run Flutter run. At the okay, so this is why it was showing error, because we didn't had semicolon over here. Let's put a semicolon, and now let's again run Flutter run. So while it runs, I would like to show you something, that how can we make a list view in our app. So I would like to show you the Flutter documentations. Let's go to the Flutter documentations for list view, and this is how it works. It has got 4 constructors. We can use any one of them, and each one has got a different functionality. The one we are going to use is this one, ListView.separated. What it does is it creates a fixed length scrollable linear array of list items separated by list item separators. So I would like to show you a pictorial representation. How this works is, let's say this blank column in the middle is your list, and you want to insert task 1 over here. So the first thing you'll have to do is to give the task 1, or the text of task 1 to some widget like card or list tile, and then that list tile widget can be inserted into this particular list, list. And then let's suppose if you have to insert task 2, then what you can do is you can likewise insert the text of the task 2 on a list tile or a card widget, and that widget or that card widget or that list tile widget can be inserted into that list which we are going to make. It might be complicated right now, but it will be very, I can say, straightforward by the end of this video. So, and another thing is, the separators we are going to use are something which are inserted over here in between this place, in between these 2 widgets. Okay, so let's begin with the coding once again. So yes, our app has also been installed on our phone. Yep, so this is our app right now, and now we need to think how can we do something that gives a list on this particular part, and at the very end we get a text field for input of the data. So what we can do is, first of all, give a ListView.separated. I guess it's very clear over here that we'll have to use columns, one for the list view and for the text field, so that we can have 2 widgets in a stack. For that, we'll be definitely needing a column. So let's do first thing, and that is to wrap this particular list view with a column. Yep. And now let's see what we can do over here. It demands of 3 properties. One of them is item builder, another one is separator builder, and one is item count. So for using this particular widget ListView.separated, we need to have a list first. So list is a data structure in that. So this list is the place where all the tasks will be stored. So definitely it's gonna be of type string. So I'm making a list of type string, and I'm gonna name this list as ToDo List. And for those who don't know, list is just a data structure, just like arrays. There are very minor dissimilarities between list and arrays. So if you say if you tell me, or if you comment downwards in the comment box, I'll definitely come up with a video for the data structures in that and on that. So we are going to initialize it with a blank array, blank list. So now what this item builder asks us is, which widget do you want to use on this place? Like for the task 1 which you want to insert, how would you like to insert the task 1 in this list? So what we can simply do is, we can make an anonymous function. So first of all, this item builder thing takes an anonymous function, and this anonymous function takes input of something called as build context. By input here I mean parameter and index. So I'm referring it as anonymous function as it doesn't has any name and we need not to give. And over here the context is the context which has been passed over here, the build context and which has been passed over here, and the index is just the integer value which this item builder function is going to use to which this item builder function is going to use to index all the widgets, or like number are all the widgets. So what I'm going to do is return a list tile from here, and this list tile has a property of title, and this title can take input of a text. So for text I'm going to give dollar sign, curly braces open, and what's the name of our list? To-do list index. So what I mean to say over here that I'm giving text of all the items in our to-do list one by one. So let's add some items over here. The first item be A,
and let's give second one as B, and let's give third one as C, and let's give a fourth one as D. Perfect. So
now let's build a separator builder. A separator builder also takes input of a function, and this function also requires parameters of build context and integer index, and what we can do is return a divider from here. So what I've done over here is just shorten the syntax. What this arrow means is that as there is no other statement other than return statement, I can return a widget or anything else like the way I wrote it earlier, as it would have been written like that, this, and it has only a single statement. I can write it like that. So it's a part of that, and you'll get used to it. So now what we're going to do, we are going to give our item count. So we have got 4 items over here, so I'm going to write 4 over here. So let's save this and let's see if it works. Okay, we have got some more exceptions. So we have got this error because we cannot directly add this list view inside of a column. So in order to add it inside the column, what we can do is wrap this in a container. We have wrapped the list view in the container, and now we can wrap the container in a expanded widget. So now let's reload, and yep, we have got the output. I would like to show you people over here. So now let's add the text field. For text field, what we can do is we can add a text field over here. And now let's restart. Let me just resize this window so you can see both emulator and code at the same time. And I would like to restart the window, and it has been restarted, but nothing happens. It's because you cannot see the text field because it camouflages with the color of the background screen. So in order to change the color, what we can do is use the color property of text field. It has got a color property, I guess. Has it or has it not? I guess it's not, but it must have a style property. So let's input a style as text style. And this text style should have a color property. I mean background color property. Okay, so that's Annie, by the way. He belongs to our neighbors. So this background color property can be assigned a color. Colors dot let's say red. And now let's reload. So still no change because this background property or background color property will only come into action when there is a text there's a text entered. So how else to deal with this problem? If we cannot change the color of the text field, what we can do is change the color of this container. So let's make it colors dot gray, and let's remove this particular property from here, and let's reload. Yep, you can see over here that this part on the bottom of the window is still white. That's because this is the part which is a text field, and it's excluded from the container. And one more thing we can do is adding those decorations. And one of the decoration I would like to add is a label, or let's say a hint text. Let's go with label only. Label will be let's say what task, question mark. Perfect. And now let's reload. Okay, you have got a label which doesn't look quite good, so I'm going to change it to hint text. That must look good. And now let's reload. Yeah, this looks kind of good. And now I'm going to change the color of the dividers to colors dot, let's say black or blue, so that they'll be more visible. And now you can, I guess, see them, and still it's not visible. Let's see if we have something else. Let's go with cyan. Let's say you can go with cyan. I don't even know what cyan looks like. Okay, it's not working at all. Or what else we can do is go with black only. Black is forever, and black will definitely be visible over here. Yeah, so now you can see that we have got our list styles and we have got these dividers in black color in between. So that's what I was trying to explain to you that time on this diagram. So now how to take input from the user, and now how to add that input into this list. For that, what we have to do is, first of all, add a button at the end of this text field, so that whenever that button is pressed, the text in this particular field is entered in the list. So for that button, what we can do is we can directly add a floating action button in the scaffold, and this floating action button property can take a floating action button widget. So let's give a floating action button widget, and this floating action button widget, let's give it a color of colors dot. Does it not have a color property, or it's some other name? Yeah, background color. And let's give it as colors dot green, and let's give a child icon. Just a second, we have extra comma over here, so the error is gone. And let's give a icon child. I'm gonna give a child property ICN icon, which is gonna take icons dot send. Now let's see if it works, and we have extra comma again. I'm gonna remove it. Okay, so we have got some issue with brackets. This should solve the purpose. Now let's reload. I'm expecting the UI. Yep, so this is what our list now looks like. So now what we have to do is to somehow make this list able to take input from this particular text form, text field. I mean to say text field. And also we need to assign this button's onPressed property to this particular text field's input. So let's see what we can do. We have already made a list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of these things from the list. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a text editing controller. I've told you what text editing controller is in previous videos, and for a briefing I'm just going to tell that it's something that helps us to retrieve data from a text field or text form field. So I'm going to use this text editing controller named T1, and when this button is pressed, I'm going to tell it to fetch data and add it to the to-do list. So what I'm going to write is, the to-do list is the name of our list, so let's write to-do list dot add. And then how to write the data which is in the text field? For that we can write even dot. Okay, so I have realized that the issue over here is that we haven't assigned this controller, the text editing controller, to the text field over here. So that controller doesn't know that from where does he need to fetch the data. So a simple step we need to do is to add this controller property and name it as T1. And now let's restart and let's check if it's retrieving the data. Okay, so I'm gonna add complete video. Okay, you can check that it has been added over here. I'm gonna add something else. Okay, do edit. One thing we realize that the data over here is not being cleared after the data has been added to the list. So for that, what we can do is we can add another method over here, t1 dot clear. Yep, now it will be cleared. And now let's see how we can make this as dismissible. So in order to make it dismissible, what we can, okay, so I have added this dismissible widget, and this dismissible widget demands of something called as key, and we haven't discussed key in this course yet, so I'm not going to explain it over here. I'll explain it in, I guess, upcoming next two videos. And so for now, what I'm going to do is write some syntax, and for you it's not necessary that you would understand it, and if you understand it's best and but good for you. So, and if you don't understand, don't worry, because in the coming up videos you'll definitely understand. So over here what we need to do, is we need to pass in a key, and this key will tell uh, the dismissible about the state of the widget. So I'm going to add something like to-do list index. So this key is gonna tell the dismissible widget which of the list style I want to remove or I am dismissing. And now we need to add one more property on dismissed. So this is a widget, and this widget will come into action when we dismiss any of the widgets, other widgets. I mean, like over here it's list style. So when we will dismiss any of the list styles, this particular property will come into action, and this property takes input of something called as direction. And now we just need to tell what we need to do. We need to remove item from to-do list at. So what I'm going to write is to-do list dot remove at, and I'm going to give index, because index here refers to whichever whatever is the index of the list style we are tapping on. So now let's test our code if it works. And I'm gonna add some tasks as A, B, C, and I'm gonna check if I'm able to swipe. Yep, I'm able to swipe it, and it got dismissed. Okay, so the thing is, though it got dismissed, but it is not being removed from here. So for that, what we need to do is to wrap this particular widget or this particular property in the set state method. So I'm gonna just cut it from here. I'm gonna call set state, and I'm gonna just paste it. So let's now reload. Yep, it got removed, and now when I'll remove, it got removed. And if I add something, again add something, and again add something, it can be removed from anywhere. So this is kind of cool, right? So what I want to do right now is I want to add this thing, complete video. I'm going to add it, and I'm going to remove it as it's completed. So we have got some other properties in this particular widget, dismissible, like background colors, and I won't be covering them in this lecture, but anyway in the future I can cover them. But this lecture is going quite long, so I would like to end over here. So see you people in the next video. Thank you for watching, and if you liked it and if you think it was useful, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.